All right, now we're going to talk about foundation settlement. It can be a very big issue in the Bay Area. Talk about indications, things to look for, and then common causes. When you're looking for signs of movement, one obvious one is you walk into a house and it feels like a fun house. Like you can literally get dizzy sometimes just from the sloping. Sometimes you can see it visually. It's a good indication, but some people are more sensitive to it than others. But that's something to be aware of. Next would be signs of cracking. So cracking generally at corners of windows and doors is an indication of some differential movement. Not necessarily bad differential movement, but some. So that's one indication. We're also looking for doors that are skewed or sticking, gaps under baseboards, things like that. These can all be indications visually or feel-wise of foundation movement. In a follow-on video, we'll talk about how that's objectively analyzed through a floor elevation survey. But for now, we're just talking about the indications and the causes. So a cause of foundation movement generally relates to the soils below. One of the most common causes relates to expansive soils. So expansive soils have a high clay content, and when clay gets wet, it expands. And so when it dries, it contracts. We have a really wet season, things will expand. We have a really dry season, things contract. So seasonally, it's active. It moves up, it moves down. The net result of that, sometimes at the end, is sinking of sections of the foundation. In some cases, it's heaving of other sections. So that's one of the most common causes of this active movement and settlement. Then when you put expansive soils on hillsides, this expansion and contraction can actually cause soil creep. And so the soil is gradually, slowly creeping its way downhill. So when it gets wet, it'll expand perpendicular to the surface of the soil. And when it contracts with gravity vertically. So it's a series of small stepwise incremental movement on a slope over a period of time. And so as the house sits on that, it can gradually creep along with that. Another cause can be related to cut and fill operations. So sometimes to create level lots, they bring in soil from other areas and fill in this area of the house. And so unless they've compacted it in various layers with optimal moisture content, this fill over time can tend to settle and consolidate, and the house can move along with it. Another cause, in cases of areas near the bay that they've reclaimed from the bay, they brought in a lot of soils to put over top of the clay soils. And in this case, the weight of that, it takes a while for basically the water within the clay to kind of get pushed out. And so it's a really long process over a period of 30 years. First 7 years is the most, and then it tends to stabilize out. So that's one of the cases where the soils can stabilize, the house can stabilize, and the other ones, not so much. It can still actively move. Other potential causes are trees. In some cases, trees can push foundations up. It can also draw more moisture out of a certain area and cause that area to settle in a localized manner. Hillside homes can have erosion that can contribute to foundation settlement. So these are the primary contributing factors. A lot of times it's a matter of the process of elimination. We don't always know the exact characteristics or background or factors. So what you're looking at is the indications and what it's likely not, and therefore you can make some determination of what it likely is. In most cases, the end result, the way to fix is the same. And we're going to talk about that in the video about repairing foundation settlement. So please watch that video as well, and thank you for watching.